Welcome to this special series on our OneOffice Mindset Award Videocast that we're doing. And today I'd like to welcome Frank Gentile and Robert Brillhart from Capgemini and Follett, the winners of our OneOffice Mindset Awards. And guys, I had such a great experience working with you on this. It was such a great story, really impactful on how you had really clear outcomes for your program and how it changed your interactions with your customers and your employees. And that's why, when I had the interview, when we saw your submission, this was a star that I thought, we really needed to share and shout out to others about a great partnership that had clear outcomes in mind and really saw the success that was envisioned and backed by your respective companies and making sure this happened. But before we get into some of the questions, I'd appreciate it, Frank and Robbie, if you could introduce yourselves and the role that you had in this. And then Frank, maybe you can just quickly in 2 minutes tell us a little bit about this project and the background there. So with that, I'll hand it to Frank first to introduce himself, then Robbie, then back to you, Frank.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Good seeing you again. So with my role at Follett, so I've been with Follett around 11 years. What brought me into this project was I am the Vice President of Operations and Customer Success. Under that role, we have our customer service and product support that was rolled into it. So that is how I'm tied into this project.
So Robert Brillhart here. So I run for Capgemini, the ICO practice for North America, which stands for Intelligent Customer Operations. So based out of Dallas, Texas, and had the great pleasure to partner with Frank on with Follett, and happy to be here. Thanks, Joel.
And Frank, maybe just since I run the applications research here at HFS, and I got to really hear about how the applications came together for you. Maybe for the audience that's listening, if you just tell us a little bit more about what drove this project, where it started from, and what the desired outcomes were at the beginning, and how those were achieved.
Definitely. So the area of opportunity that I saw before assuming or kicking off this project is that we were lacking in the realm of available technology that would lead to having accountability in data-driven decisions. So a lot of what my objectives were when starting this project was how can we consolidate and bring in the data so that we can look at, again, one is how do we improve our customer experience, but most of all is how do we improve it through root cause analysis? And that was not possible previously because there was not the ability to look at that data. So by taking that was honestly the root of what started to kick off this project and partnership with Capgemini, along with looking at a way to be able to have a scalable workforce, given us being in the higher education space. There is very dramatic fluctuation that happens when we have to bring on anybody, even from temp labor inside of our stores, all the way to when we're ramping up and down for the customer service and the Follett support side. So that was really the two main needs that came from, or that started us down this path of the last, I believe, 15 months.
Great. Robbie, just building on that, I'm curious, when you first heard about this and got involved with Follett, what were your thoughts on their aspirational, where they expected themselves to get to and how they expected to partner with you? And maybe just what was your perspective of getting into this, and what honestly made you excited about being part of Follett's journey?
Well, one of the things, so I absolutely can say that the strategy of what Frank was going after for his operations fell right into kind of our sweet spot, right? Because one of the things with Capgemini, several different components. One, we're all about the digital journey. We're about the human in the loop, in the technology loop, right? So sometimes you're having to convince clients of the real opportunities and capabilities that lie in that digitally enabled operating model. And it was directly in the line of sight for Frank what he was trying to achieve. So right off the bat, there was no kind of having to convince of the value behind some of the technology. and how to operationalize it where you're putting both the customer and the employee front and center of the activity, so that all of the journeys, no matter where they fall in the different channels, have a positive impact on both of those parties, and you get the data and insight to drive it. So that excited us from the get-go. And then I think just the alignment with, we talk collaborations, and just about every one of our taglines in Capgemini, the collaboration on the part of Follett, Frank, and the team was in direct alignment. When you say, do a project, both parties are aligned to the common outcome. So that's one, but each scorecard on each side, whether it be Follett or Capgemini, they took on the approach of it being both of our scorecards, right? So we jointly did that, and because of that alignment, that makes things, quite frankly, fun and exciting when you're doing it. When you're discovering a problem, right? Problems happen. We have a human factor in all of the things that we do. So there's always challenges that are going to come up, as well as the unknowns. But when you're working in that kind of collaborative environment, a problem is actually fun. It's exciting. You get it and you solve it quickly, and you celebrate those and move on. So it started out very much aligned, but I would say the excitement just continued to build as we went down that journey.
And I like that. We were chatting a little bit before we started the recording about journeys and our travels. But this whole experience between the two of you working on this really impactful project was a journey. And as we know from taking trips with family, there's always good things and bad things that happen during a journey. So I'm curious if you have any examples of both challenging scenarios that weren't expected, as well as unexpected positive outcomes, and how you work together to both overcome the challenges and celebrate the wins. Maybe you can give some examples there from both of your points of view.
Sure, I can go ahead and jump in, and to kind of bucket what you're saying, I'd look at it as areas of opportunity, benefits, and then really the learnings that we had. So from my perspective, to give a few examples, so for the areas of opportunity, and this is more for those that are, potentially looking to go down this journey, and it is more on the Follett end, is depending on the bandwidth of your company, just ensure, because again, we had around 22 groups that we brought together within Follett, where there was the platform setup that had to be done, different technologies, and also the knowledge transfers. So the big takeaway from me was make sure from your company standpoint, or from Follett's standpoint, if I ever had to do this again, to make sure that there was additional resources that were allowed on there. For the benefits from this, there are still benefits that I was not expecting that are coming out of this. Again, the scalable workforce, the accountability, and the data-driven decisions. The data-driven decisions have been one of the biggest benefits, because this partnership has brought and surfaced a lot of information that is now going to our product and platform owners to really start to transform the business from a customer's perspective, right? Like, everybody we all want to think that we know what the customer wants, but when you actually have the customer telling you something through data, it's really impactful to your business. And it allows for what was started as a call center, which some people can consider a cost, to really an investment, and making a company better and taking it to that next level. And then one of the biggest learnings that I have seen from this, and that I would say is, despite what people may think, there are companies out there such as Capgemini that do care just as much about your business and your customers as you do. I think there's this misunderstanding that if you outsource something, that you won't find people with as much passion. And we really have found that with our Capgemini partners, they really wear the Follett brand, though their paychecks may say different because they're coming from a different company. They truly have embraced our brand, our customer, and feel a real level of accountability and responsibility to making sure that the outcomes happen.
That's great. Robbie, I don't know if probably want to stop here after that great
Cut,
accolade.
roll tape.
That was amazing. Robbie, what about your experience working with Follett and Frank in particular? How did you bring your expertise, industry, technology, process to help them overcome some of the challenges and unexpected parts of this journey?
Yeah, so a couple things. I'll hit the latter first, and then go back to Frank, because I have a few good words to say on that are very important for me to say. But no, so I think that the technology element one was that I mentioned before is one of the biggest elements, and because we have the capabilities across multiple different technology stacks, we had some interesting one with here where we need to join up two platforms and have that information share, move, and function without the kind of the complexities of managing those two elements. And it's one of the things where we have, because we're technology agnostic, always with an opinion, right? We have those capabilities across a robust set, and we were able to pull those together to ensure that went successfully, and we didn't have all of the road bumps and hurdles that normally occur when you're having to patch together multiple systems and bring it together for that overall journey. So I think that was probably one of the main elements. But the other thing I would say is we have passionate people around our technologies and about our outcomes that we provide. So I think that is what, and you heard it from Frank as well. I think that's one of the components. We're not just a technology company; we're a human capital company, and we bring, we're constantly in the business of passionately managing that entire process, from system integration all the way down to operation run and continued improvement and innovation. Because one of the things we say is it's never over, right? It used to be you did the transformation at the beginning, then you roll it out, and then you operate. That's not our world anymore. Hasn't been for a good while. So that innovation, that kind of continued look at how do you drive the improvements, even from once you finish the big tranches of deployment, et cetera, that has to be there. And I would say just one main thing about working with Frank, and I'd say also his team, because this is a culture element that is not just Frank. I think is the main driver of that type of culture, but it is throughout the people that we work with in his direct and extended teams. Is that we sometimes have to convince people on the collaboration folks to embrace it, to be involved with it, to open transparency and it's on both sides, right? So you're completely transparent, but it's really special when you find somebody that wants to co-lead that collaboration with you, not just embrace it and make it an enabling component. And that was, we've had different engagements with Frank, and at the drop of a hat, he can name just about every single person on his team by name. And I think they consider themselves a part of Frank's team, probably more so than they consider part of Capgemini team. So it's a really special thing when that happens, and it just hits new levels and heights when it's shared completely on both sides. So that's why it just stays exciting. We're not done, working together and driving improvements. We'll do it inside of this engagement, but been a pleasure, and it's a continued pleasure working with the Follett team and Frank.
That's great, and like I said, that came out loud and clear in our discussions that we had back a couple of months ago, and we followed up on the award submission. You brought it up, Frank. The data and decision capabilities really took off. Massive success from that, and in our original conversation, you talked about how that just created a lot of interest from the organization because they were like, "Wow, this worked. Now, how do we do it everywhere?" So, how are you handling all this success?
Slowly, in stride. No, we actually we've had multiple cases where we have now started to actually expand the services. So we started so Follett has a virtual presence essentially e-commerce sites. And we managed, when this relationship started, we managed that part of it, and also our 5,000 or so team members from a product support standpoint. What it has expanded to, and we're piloting currently, is we also have another 900 or so physical campus locations where we're working together to pilot. We did our first phase pilot, which we have up to 4 brick and mortar campuses. We're doing another, hopefully waiting on approval for another phase, which will bring in another 11 to 12. And then after that, we're moving out of the pilot phase with leadership approval. So we have the potential to bring on about another 300 to 400 stores, because that they are, from a physical store perspective, they are experiencing the same issues that we were from a virtual standpoint. And that was, there's lack of data to, give leadership and insight into the call volume, what they're actually getting calls about. So it has really gained a lot of traction and excitement. There's also data dashboards that are now being created for other areas that have been mirrored off of what we call our command center with all of our data. So that's just another element of where we see people branching off and doing and trying to be able to replicate the level of data that we have, along with asking us to expand the services to a wider audience base. So I think those are the 2 biggest compliments, and the successes that we are seeing continue to kind of come our way.
That's great. And, you guys have touched on the importance of your people and your cultures meshing around this project, and it's created, it sounds like, a very, very good experience internally for the both of you. But it also seems like you've found yourself through this partnership also evolving the mindset of the leadership of the company, of Follett, around the power of not only what technology can do, but what technology with a strong partner can do. Is that fair? And how do you see that continuing to evolve as you guys both keep working together? And Robbie, how do you see Capgemini continuing to help Frank's team? So maybe first, Frank, you talk a little bit about how is this evolving the view of technology is bringing value to the business even more than it was before, and then Robbie, just how you continue to learn and coach and co-create with Frank's team.
Yeah, from the technology standpoint, it's definitely making a difference, and it's just showing the value that what was once perceived as a cost, how it really can be an investment. Because I go back to that, the data decisions that are based on the technology. And now we're working again to integrate more and more with platforms. The back end of our command center is Power BI. So we have a lot of different groups that are now working to aggregate that data. And it really will, again, 15 months in, it will be a key driver to changing the customer experience and ensuring that we are listening to the customer and not just making those types of assumptions.
Yeah, and I think that's one of our intentions are we don't like one-off deals. We like long-standing partnerships where we can bring kind of continued value as well. So I think the opportunities will be coming in droves. I think Frank's correct. It's you have to keep in mind, don't expand too wide too quickly and hurt anything. I think if we have, even if the opportunities came even outside of kind of this core area where our current engagement with Follett is, the team is to the such now that they wouldn't let anything bad happen to any Follett engagement, whether if even one of our internal other practices that we're delivering. So I think part of that problem, I think, or area of protection that is needed is you need the individuals wearing the hat of the client That's done by all companies, right? They have client advocates and account executives and things like that. But truly, I think the teams now are emotionally invested, as well as invested from their titles and roles as well. But part of our job is to continue to stay on top of emerging technologies, changes in technologies, solutions, and options to where Follett wants to go into their journey, and bring that to Follett as the insight to help them drive their strategy in a more defined and direct way. So we do that for our client base. That's part of our job and duties, and we'll continue to do so that with Follett.
Well, that's great. Guys, this has been such a pleasure speaking with both of you again. I really like, from the onset, how you brought together the front, middle, and the back office to drive multiple silos into a whole new realm of service delivery, focusing on customer outcomes, employee outcomes, and then business outcomes. It really encapsulated what we were trying to achieve and measure with our OneOffice Mindset Awards. And to me, this is the penultimate award out of the ones that we gave out, because this is the one office, and you guys did an amazing job. Your organization should really celebrate this award and celebrate the success they're having. But your customers, you've done it for them. You've made it easier for them to get the services, the products, the engagements they need in a timely manner. And capturing that data, and then continuing to work together to evolve how it can be used on this journey. It's not a one and done, as you've said multiple times, Robbie. I completely agree with you. So congratulations on being the OneOffice Mindset winner. I'm super happy for you guys and proud of the success that Follett and Capgemini have built together on this. So thanks again. I appreciate this, and hopefully we'll meet again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.